Sunday night sound session with John Moore and DJ Hyphen on KUBE 93.
Alright, y'all, DJ Hyphen, J Moore, the audacity of dope.com, sound session, all that right now backstage at Nectar in Seattle with
Shad.
Shad, the man himself. What's going on, man? First time in Seattle, right?
First time in Seattle, yeah.
First time performing in Seattle.
Yes,
yeah.
I hung out in Seattle. This is my first time playing in Seattle. So.
Nice. So you're on tour right now with K-Os.
Yeah, this was day one.
Day one, the first show.
Yeah.
How did it go, just off stage?
It was good, man. Like, it was... Like I was telling you, like my biggest concern is I'd be on this football field size stage because they have such a big band and I'd be trying to cover all that space. But it was cool. It was like a nice small room and the vibe was good. Everyone came for a good time. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah. So let's talk about the new album, TSOL.
Correct.
You still haven't said what it officially stands for, huh?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really stand for a thing, but yeah.
Okay, so that's out there in stores. People are kind of getting familiar with that now.
Right.
Shout out to the Decon folks. Talk about how the Decon relationship happened to get this thing officially released in the States.
Well, I think my label in Canada started talking to a few people, see if there's anyone interested in putting it out, and Decon stepped up and they were interested in, like, it's a real good fit. They have a lot of great artists on their label, so yeah, they grind it out hard, so hopefully we'll spread the word.
So with you coming down here, I listened to the last two albums a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of back to back this week. The Old Prince came out, what, 07?
Yeah, 07.
07, yeah. So a little bit older, and then TSOL as well. And it's funny, listening to them back to back, you can tell there's like crazy growth between the two. Like, I think lyrically and skill-wise, you know, you see the improvement, but content-wise, it's crazy. There's a big difference. Do you feel there's a big difference between the two?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a difference in, like, intention, you know? Like, with this one, it was like this totally different situation of feeling like I'm making music because I get to make music, and I'm like, that's what I wanted to do, so let me, like, try and do it as best as I can, you know? Whereas prior to that, it was more of a thing of, like, I just kind of have this, like, creative energy and blah, 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 like, let me just sort of, like, put it towards something. Neither, I don't think, is better than the other, but it's just, like, a different sort of, like, stage or, like, a different sort of, like, I don't know, time, but it's at a different kind of motivation or intention. So, yeah, it definitely felt different. This process felt like, yeah, like, let me try and craft something that's, like, good and, like, you know, people can, like, feel, and it's, like, thoughtful and positive and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying an awful lot in the music. Like I was telling someone in the crowd as you were rapping, it's kind of tough to see it translate sometimes live because you're saying so much. Like, you guys aren't dropping the beat out for punchlines all the time, like people. So, is it difficult at times to see that message get across? Like, do you think people are really picking up the messages you're saying in the music?
I think they do sometimes more than, like, I think that they do. Like, I think that there are a lot of people who, I just sort of assume people aren't going to pick up a lot of what I say, so I try to, like, put enough stuff on the surface that they can, like, appreciate it. But I'm always surprised at how many people are like, no, dude, like, I listen for real, you know what I mean? I hear this and I caught that line last week, you know, or something, you know? So that kind of stuff always surprises me, but, like, I don't know, I do that for, like, the heads that are down with, like, kind of digging into lyrics, but I always try and at least put enough stuff, like, you know, punchlines and stuff that people can just connect with right away, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm always pleasantly surprised. People will come up to me and be like,
I heard that.
I heard that.
I got you on that one.
Yeah.
Alright, so the other day, you know, I always kind of post your stuff on the blog and on Twitter and all that stuff, and the other day someone was like, yo, they tweeted me and they're like, I'm buying this Shad album just off the strength of how much you talk about it. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of like, that's really cool for me. And then, I'm going to put this guy on blast. About an hour later, I saw a tweet from him that said something to the effect of, rappers, if I don't get you, it's your fault, not mine. And I don't know if he was talking about you. But I feel like he bought the album, listened to it, and on first listen was like, I don't get it.
I think, to some extent, I think artists got to take enough responsibility for that. Like, but at the same time, it's like, I don't expect everybody to, like, be into what I do or get what I do. So, you know, people are sort of free. Now, if nobody gets what you do, that's the artist's fault, you know? If some people don't get what you do, that's cool, you know? Like, I think that's the way it's sort of, like, meant to be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if everybody doesn't get what you do, yeah, then it's your fault.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. Yeah, real talk. Yeah.
Do you think you have to have some sort of... I would... Geez, I don't even know how to word this because I don't want to say you need to have some sort of schooling to understand a Shad record.
Yeah.
But there's sort of you need to have an appreciation for understanding art at a little bit of a deeper level than the surface level. Like this is the equivalent of, say, the indie film. When people hear it and when they see it and they're finally like, man, I really love it.
Yeah.
You know, how come that didn't get released wider? It's because, well, I'm not sure people are going to understand it.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. Like I think that there's a space for all of that kind of stuff, right? Like for me, I always try to just put it on the level of like, what is it that I like, you know, for one thing, because I think that like if you start there, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and you always got to consider your audience. I mean, like if you're being like way too dense and no one has any idea what you're talking about, like that's just not, you're not communicating effectively. Like you're not. Sometimes you might have a message or like a specific sort of like tone that is subtle and it is nuanced and it is like it does require like some skill to communicate. Other times it's like if you could have said it simpler, you should just say it simpler. But sometimes like if what you're trying to say is actually like kind of nuanced and a little bit complicated, it's like there's no other way to say it. Like, you know, if some politician or professor or something is trying to communicate an idea, for example, it's like they can't give it to you necessarily in a 30-second soundbite. They're like, I have to take you through a few things in order for you to really understand it, but that's just the best way to communicate it, you know? So.
Yeah, you kind of stumbled upon how things can get lost in translation and lost in the communication with the CeeLo line you quote on the record, right? Where you actually misquote it. Because you're like, that's how I always thought it was. So tell that story real quick to the people out there who didn't catch it.
Like I have one lyric on the album where I say, my heroes had the heart to lose the life I want to live. And I was always like, I thought that was a CeeLo lyric off of Crazy, off the Gnarls Barkley. He actually said something like, my heroes had the heart to live their life out on the limb or something like that. And when I found out that was what the lyric was, that was always my favorite lyric, like in music. And I'm like, what? It's actually, wait, does that make it mine? Does that make my favorite lyric in music my own? Because I just invented it?
That's perfect in Web 2.0 viral culture where everyone wants to be online. It's great that your favorite lyric of all time is your own.
You know, like, I thought it was CeeLo's, I guess it's mine, you know? I don't know, so I decided to use it on a song. But, I mean, that actually relates to a totally different thing, but like, this album is the first time I've ever put the lyrics in the liner notes. Because of that exact phenomenon. Like I was always like, it's cool, as much time as I put in my lyrics, like it's cool if people mishear a lyric and they're like, yo, that lyric spoke to me a lot. And you're like, that isn't exactly what I said, but I'm glad it, you know, I don't know, that's just part of music. So at the same time, another part of music is the fact that no one buys it anymore. And when they do, like, I want to like give them something a little extra, so that's why I put the lyrics in there.
Yeah. If you had a line or two from the album that kind of resonate with you the most, what would they be?
That's a good question. There's one like kind of really short song called "Call Waiting" that has some lines in there that I liked. What am I talking about in that one? I can't remember. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But listen to "Call Waiting," I guess is what I'm going to say. It's short. It's not that demanding. You know, it's like a minute and a half.
That comes right out of Telephone?
Comes out of Telephone.
Out of Telephone, which is a crazy record.
Thanks, man.
Definitely, if people haven't checked it out there, go get it. TSOL. It's in stores now finally in America for the first time as of what, the 5th? Yep.
3 days ago.
So it's out there. So go grab that. Also, if you're online, be sure to grab the old Prince. And what was the first record? They came out in like 06.
Oh yeah, when this is over, if you can find that.
If you can find it, buy it, download it, do whatever you can. It's another kind of classic record from Shad. So Shad, thanks so much for taking a couple minutes with us.
Dude, thank you for putting me on, always.
No doubt. DJ Hyphen, J Moore, Sunday Sound Session, The Audacity of Dope, and Shad. Thanks again, man.
Cool, thanks.
Sunday night sound session with John Moore and DJ Hyphen on KUBE 93.